So here's our topic for tonight, everybody, and I'm excited that you're able to jump onto this webinar. So, like I said a minute ago, what we're going to talk about tonight is developing the right mindset. Okay, getting yourself into the right mindset, because that's where it all starts. You want to build a big business, you want to build a small business. It really doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, you've got to have the right mindset to have success. Okay. Everything that we experience in our lives, we first experience it through our mind. Now think about that. A lot of times people don't realize that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. So thoughts actually become reality. So you have to think about what you're thinking about. Okay? Because there's an old term, it's a computer term, garbage in, garbage out. So if you put good stuff in, you're going to get good stuff out. If you put garbage in, you'll put garbage out. Okay? Where you're at in life right now is a residual accumulation of all your past thoughts. And see, some people don't like that. They think that's a little too harsh or too aggressive. But if your lifestyle isn't what you want, if you're not where you want to be, if you're not happy or satisfied, then you've got nobody else to blame but yourself. But even more than that, you can narrow it down to what? Your thought pattern, your thought process. Why? Because if you're thinking garbage stuff, or you don't even know what you're thinking, what are you attracting into your life? You're attracting more garbage. You're attracting more stuff that you don't want into your life. So think about how sometimes people go through life and they never feel like they're getting ahead. Why do they never feel like they're getting ahead? Because they're not actually getting themselves on the right wavelength and on the right mindset for success. Maslow said that for a human being to be happy, what they can become, they must become. Think about that. What is your potential? See, whate'er thou art, act well thy part, is what the old proverb says. So see, if God manufactured junk, then you should receive junk. That's your potential. But I don't believe in that. I believe that we are, children of an almighty being, and that we are here to achieve greatness. So if we are created, as the good book says, in the image of God, we have the seeds of greatness within us. God didn't manufacture junk, and success is your birthright. He didn't send us down here to say, go have at it, you worthless weaklings, and figure it out yourselves. He created us in the ability so that we could create success by our own ability and agency and choice. Think about that. So if you have the ability and the potential to become more, you must do it, is ultimately what Maslow is saying. Okay? Every great teacher in the past, they knew these things, they taught these things, and they all are very simple. As you think, so shall ye become. That was the Galilean's instruction. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Marcus Aurelius. The greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering the attitudes of their mind. William James, he was asked, what's the greatest discovery of your generation at the turn of a century? Almost 100 years ago is when he said that. That our generation can alter their lives by altering the attitude of their mind. Whatever a mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. I mean, there's power in the title, not just what he said. Conceive it in your mind. Believe it in your mind, and you'll achieve it. Abraham Lincoln. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other thing. That means that you have to come to the agreement within your mind and your drive, your motivation to succeed. See, a lot of times people always ask me, Kason, what is the secret for success? What's the magic? What's the super sauce? What's the secret? What's the deal? And it begins of what's going on in between your ears. It starts mentally. It has nothing to do with your talent, nothing to do with your ability, almost nothing to do with the words that you say and how you present and whether you plug in or not. It's your mentality. It's your mindset. It's your own resolution and your own drive to succeed. Franklin Roosevelt, men are not prisoners of fate, but only prisoners of their own minds. What does that mean? Think about what that means. That means that if you have bad thoughts or don't have any thoughts, or you're not on the right positive attitude of where you need to be, that means that you're holding yourself hostage. That means it's not just some, fantasy or fate or destiny that you're going to be rich and you're going to be poor. It's like it's not a lottery. It's not a random chosen number. It's your own mind. And you're a prisoner of that. You're a victim of that, and you got nobody to blame but yourself. David McKay, our thoughts are the architect of our destiny. So if you want to create and design an extraordinary life, where do you begin? In your mind. Spencer Kimball, a man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. That means, have you ever met people they're just bad people? Why? Because they have bad thoughts. Have you ever met people that they're just, they'll give you the shirt off their back. They'll do anything to help you, and they might not even know you. They're just good people. That's your character. It's because they got good thoughts. You are literally what you think about. So think about what you're thinking about before you think about what you think about. It's kind of a tongue twister, but it's really true. Okay? It's so true. Let me share with you 3 principles about mindset. The first one is that when you're tentative, you have no power. What that means is that if you're passive, if you're tentative, if there's not a resolution, as Abraham Lincoln said, if there's not a definiteness, if there's not a purpose, you don't get power. Think of this as kind of a radio frequency. As radio frequency sends out waves, okay, there's a frequency of that radio. And so you've got to be on the right channel, on the right dial to get that radio frequency. If you're fooling around at 88.4, but yet the station that you want to listen to is on 99.5, you're not on the right frequency, okay? So you have to adjust your frequency in order to even have the connection. That same frequency is what your mind puts out. When you put out a thought, there is an actual vibration. When that thought goes into your mind, those vibrations echo out into the universe and attract back into reality what those vibrations are, what that frequency is. And negative thoughts, okay, have a more powerful have a less powerful frequency than a positive thought. But you think negative things all the time. Think about when you were born. Okay, when you were born, you hear, "Oh, you're so cute, you're so adorable," and then you start becoming a toddler. And then what do your parents start saying? No, no, no. No, you can't do that. No, don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do it. And you start getting all these negativity things start beating you down. But you've got to focus on that positive thought. That positive thought puts out that radio frequency and it's more power. And that draws higher power or a higher frequency. Think of it as in this way. If a negative thought was a bench presser and could bench press 100 pounds, but yet you have so many negative thoughts, and I'm not even saying negative as in like bad things, just negative meaning that they're not going anywhere. So that's your frequency. That's your tendency. You put those out and you might put out 10 negative thoughts or 10 just normal thoughts with no power. And that's 10 times 10. That's 1,000 pounds of frequency that you're working against. Versus a positive thought. Let's say a positive thought is a weightlifter and they can bench press 300 pounds. So 300 pounds. You have to focus on putting more positive thoughts so that you can overweigh that. Let me share with you this way, okay? If you don't know what you want in life, how are you ever going to get it? Think about that. If you don't know where you're going, then it doesn't matter where you're going, because it doesn't matter if you're going to arrive there or not. See, success, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And it's what you become in the process. Think of the tentative way of power as this. If you have a big old battleship, and that battleship have army men or navy men that are on that ship, and it's sitting there in the bay, right? Your mind is the general. Your mind is the admiral. Your mind is the captain. And if you don't tell it what to do, if you don't tell that ship, you don't tell that crew what to do, they're not going to do anything. So, what's going on is you show up to that to that battle station and that battleship, and you look at the crew and they're kind of all weak and tentative. Why? Because you're kind of passive and I'm the general and attend. I don't know what we're gonna do today, but maybe we're gonna. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I just want everybody to be okay. What kind of situation is that crew in? They're in a horrible situation. Why? There's no power associated to it. Why is there no power associated to it? Because of the frequency of the general's mindset. But yet, when that general comes out and says, attend hut, and I mean it, okay, we're going to march at 0600. We're going to clean the barracks at 900. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the rifle range. We're going to clean up. We're going to, and I want you to do it now. That mental frequency, that tentativeness brings a power to that army, brings a power to that ship. What about another example? That cruise ship is sitting out there in the bay, and you don't tell it where to go, but you start the engine, you put full throttle. Where's that cruise going to go? Where's that ship going to go? Is it going to even get out of the harbor? Probably not. Why? Because you're not telling it what to do. That is how our mind works. So when you're tentative, you have no power. You need to clearly define what you want in life. And when you've clearly defined what it is that you want in life, you instantly have power. And those thoughts will be attracted into your life. You dwell upon those thoughts. And that sends out that frequency, and there's power there. And it will come to you. The second principle is called the thinker and the prover. Okay? What does the thinker think? The thinker thinks what the prover proves. Well, what does the prover prove? The prover proves what the thinker thinks. So think about how this works. Okay, the thinker and the prover. Go back to that analogy of that ship in the bay. If the thinker thinks, I don't know where I want to go today, what's the prover going to prove? I don't know where I want to go today. Will that ship ever get to the destination of success, or Florida, or the Bahamas, or whatever destination it is that you're thinking? No, it will never get out. Why? Because it's proving to you the frequency or tentativeness of the thought. But if you prove by having a powerful thought, it's only going to give you the powerful thought. And until you walk into that ship and you tell those thoughts and you think, I want to go out of the bay, and this is the GPS coordinates, and this is where we're going, and we're going to do it right away. What will the prover prove? It will go out and do that immediately, exactly the way that you want. So the thinker and the prover will get you the results that you want in life when you want them in life, when your thought pattern is directed and dedicated and focused on what it is that you clearly want. And how do you define what it is that you clearly want? You define it first in your mind. First in your mind. The thinker and the prover. The third analogy, third principle of mindset is called maturity and stability. Maturity and stability are the same thing. They're just spelled different. Was a quote by John Wooden. See, John Wooden is a great UCLA all-time basketball coach. I mean, they won ridiculous amounts of basketball games over and over and over. And he would string together, teams that would be able to have a high understanding of basketball IQ, but yet they worked together as a team and understood mindset. And they were all American. They won amazing things, better than the people that, individual talent or had a string of all Americans on their teams. Why? Because maturity and stability have a lot to do with what's going on in your mind. Okay, think about it. Have you ever met those people that are emotionally immature? Emotionally immature. Something happens to them and they let the weather dictate how they feel today. They're driving down the road and somebody cuts them off and they let that person dictate whether they're happy or mad. See, my point being is that is immaturity, and that's what emotional maturity means. Stability. Okay, emotional maturity and a mental stability. It means that you're not too high, you're not too low. When Johnny Wooden would have after a basketball game, if a stranger walked into his locker room, his goal for his boys was that a stranger wouldn't be able to tell whether you won or lost the ball game. Why? Because there's stability and maturity there off of your emotions. See, you're okay with the result that you gave it all. You might be disappointed you lost the game, but you gave it your all. Okay? Emotional maturity and mental stability. Understand the powerful scenario of that. The picture that you're seeing is a roller coaster. The reasoning why is because they come back to what Johnny Wooden said. Emotional maturity and stability. Okay? Don't let your highs get too high and don't let your lows get too low. What does that mean? That means that you go out and sign up somebody and you're fired up, you're jacked out of your mind, you're on a cloud 9, you're on a 12 out of a 10 scale. You're super high and you call them and to get them onto the webinar or to come to a meeting, and guess what? They didn't show up. And guess where you're at? Boom, you're down low. This emotional roller coaster that everybody has, that's what emotional maturity and mental stability mean, is that you're not letting these emotions overcome you and encompass you, okay? That's what the mindset is all about, is you've got to be consistent with your thought process first, but you've also got to understand that happiness is a state of now. It's not a state of, well, over there I'll be happy, or around this corner I'll be happy, or when I get this promotion I'll be happy. Happiness is a moment of now, right now, and that's based upon the feelings and state of mind that you're in. Don't let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. You want to be just kind of right there stable. You want to be mature with that. You don't, when somebody, signs up, fantastic. You're high, but when somebody quits, you're not down in the dumps. Don't let your highs be too high and your lows be too low. Okay? People won't follow you if you can't control your emotions. What I mean by that is, those leaders that something happens, right? Say a negative thing, or somebody calls you on a three-way call and they say, hey, I want you to explain why you need to go to training events. You need to get onto webinars, and you need to plug into these things. Can you talk to my prospect or talk to my distributor about that? And they kind of confront you on it, like, well, I'm not going. I don't need to do that. And they kind of blow up, like they freak out. Like those emotions is that they're unstable, they're imbalanced. How do you respond to those types of leaders? You don't. So people respond to people who have control over their emotions. They know how to handle situations. You want to be a leader, you've got to learn how to control your mindset and control this emotional roller coaster that you're on, because now that you're in a network marketing business, you're going to have highs and lows. You've got to be able to manage those. Okay? How do you do that? Is you've got long-term thinking. See, you got to picture this. What's the end result? There's a great book by Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey talks about a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he's in the very first chapter, it's begin with the end in mind. What is your vision? What is your dream? What is your goal? What's the long-term end result? Begin that. So if you're successful and you're a leader and you've got this massive organization and you're making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $80,000 a month, whatever the number is, if that is the end result, when you begin with your mindset and your vision, if that's the end result, you have to become that person that's capable of earning that. And it all starts with your mentality, your emotions. You've got to manage these expectations. If you expect the company to pay you that check, to take you on those trips, you've got to manage those expectations within yourself, within your team, within your reason of these emotional mental bounds, right? Manage these expectations. What is it that you expect of yourself? What is it that you expect of others? Okay? Maintain your composure. What does that mean? Okay? Don't get too excited. Don't get too frustrated over little things. Little things. You get an email and it doesn't look the way that you want it to. Are you going to freak out about that or not? You've got to maintain your emotional fuse. Okay? Let me talk to you about this roller coaster that you go on. Okay? You go to a meeting. Okay? If you don't have guests, right? You don't have guests at the meeting, you need to go to the meeting. Why? Because you need to get your attitude in the right place. You need to get your mindset in the right place. You need to get your energy and recharge your batteries. Okay? You need to go to that meeting. You need to come to these events. You need to plug in. You need to do the things that you need to do first so that you can have what you want later. If you don't have guests, on the Monday night call, you need to come to the Monday night call because you need to hear what's going on. You need to hear the interviews. You need to hear the stories. Okay? What about if you have guests? The call needs you. The webinar, the meeting needs you. If you've got, if this is a local meeting at a restaurant or at a business location, you got 7 people coming, you're going to the meeting because the meeting needs your energy, your excitement. They need to feed off of that. Everything, all this encompasses the system. And what the system does is it helps you to become more. And that's the first step. Define your goals. So when you've got negative things that happen, because circumstances just happen, negative things should always go upline your team. Never poison your own well by saying negative things to your downline. Positive is down. All positive stuff, okay? All positive stuff goes down. Negative stuff goes up. That way that you're not poisoning your well. You don't like an adjustment. Don't ever shout that out. Okay? Think about that. Think about a situation. What if you have an organization and you got 50 people sitting in that room and every one of them are in your downline? Every one of them are in your group. And you're doing a presentation. It doesn't matter if it's a training or an overview. And somebody interrupts you and doesn't agree with what you're saying. Maybe you're talking to them about a discount that they can get or, an update or an announcement. And somebody makes a comment and they shout out and they don't agree with it. They don't like it or they become confrontational, right? How do you feel if that happens to all those other people that are in your group? Do you like that they're muddying the water of your people? You don't like that at all. So don't be that person. Don't make comments publicly that should be made privately. Don't make comments to other people's teams that aren't in your downline that are potential negative things. How would you respond if if you had 30 guests in the room, 30 guests in the room, and one negative person who didn't have any guests walked into that meeting and they were grumpy Grinch and they complained, well, I've been in this thing for 3 months and I'm not getting the result that I wanted. They weren't in your group, they weren't in your downline, but they came to that meeting and they were negative and turned off your prospects. How would you like that to happen? You wouldn't. So don't be that person. Positive up, okay? Or positive down, negative up. Treat victory and defeat the same. That means that if you go invite 20 people to come to the meeting and you show up and 2 of them are there, be excited about the 2 that are there, okay? Don't dwell upon the fact, I invited 18 people and they weren't here. You have a house meeting and you've invited 20 people to show up and three actually came. Don't apologize. Oh man, I'm so sorry to your upline. I'm so sorry. I had 20 people coming and these 3 morons are the only ones that showed up. Think about how that prospect feels if they actually came. So don't share that to them. You have a house meeting, you have a hotel meeting, you have a restaurant meeting, you have a conference call or something, a webinar, and you don't get the result that you want. Okay, be positive for that. Don't let somebody else. How would you feel if I invited you to a meeting with Brian and Kim and Dave, and we were all going to dinner, and I invited 7 other people, okay, and you showed up, and the entire time I was like, oh, Kim, I'm so sorry. Kim, I'm so sorry. I invited 8 people to show up, and oh, I'm so sorry. They didn't come. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. How would you feel if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I did show up? So you see that's important because you've got to learn to treat victory and defeat the same. This all comes down to your mentality, your attitude, emotional maturity, mental stability. Okay? If you win and you gave it your best effort, if you lose and you gave it your best effort, that's okay. That's okay. Okay? Understand how expectations work. Okay? What are your expectations? Do you expect to do well? Do you expect to win? Do you expect to succeed? Do you expect, to, invite a prospect to the meeting and have them show up? What are your expectations? Because we tend to live up to our expectations. Okay, what do you expect out of this business? I'll tell you one thing. When I got started in this industry years ago, I expected to make a 6-figure income. I did. And I expected it fairly quickly. So my expectation of the income triggered my thought pattern. My thought pattern triggered my expectation. My actions took effect and gave me what I expected. See, what I'm talking about here has to do with a lot of people expect to win, but they actually don't expect to. They hope. They wish. It's not even a want. It's not even a desire. They hope. See, the difference is if you expect to be a Pro 2, you're going to do the work necessary to get Pro 2. If you expect to succeed in a leisure life, you're going to do what's necessary for you to succeed in a leisure life. If you expect to be there at the next event, you'll be there because your actions will take effect. Okay? Don't doubt yourself. The seeds of greatness are within you. The seeds of greatness are within you. You were born to succeed. So succeed. Whate'er thou art, act well thy part. So don't doubt yourself, but do the things that you need to achieve your expectations. Do read books. You've got to fuel the proper mindset. You've got to fuel the good stuff in. You've got to fuel this attitude. You've got to fuel all the things that you need in your mind to prepare yourself for that success. If not, you're going to attract what you've always gotten, which is where people are at today. Think about that. If you're constantly thinking about debt and failure and rejection and not success, what are you going to attract into your life? What you're thinking about. Change the thought process. How do you change your thought process? You've got to start reading books. You've got to start reading, some motivation stuff. You've got to put good in your brain and replace it with other stuff. Think about this. You put a cup of water and say that cup of water is a bunch of negative stuff. Well, you've got to start. You can't just dump out the cup because it's already full. You've got to start filling it with new stuff. So if you have a cup of cold water, but you've got a whole bunch of hot water over here under the faucet, and you stick that cold water cup under the hot water faucet, and you start putting more water, even though the cup is full, you start putting more water in. Eventually, it will fill up the water too hot. It'll make the cup hot. It'll make the water in it. It'll heat up. It'll change the temperature. So you've got to fill it and replace what's in it with good stuff. Another way that you do that is by going to events. That's why the next national training is so important. You've got to get your ticket for that. You've got to get your reservation for that. Do you expect to show up and have the event be amazing? Great. How is it going to be amazing? Well, you've got to show up. Do you want to have problems with your reservation and have to travel from another hotel to the host hotel? No. So get your reservation in advance. You got to put good stuff in. How do you do that? You got to listen to the training audios. Re-listen to some training stuff and motivation stuff and inspirational stuff. Recordings on webinars, training audios, recordings from different events that have been around the country. Put money and time into yourself. Work on you more than you work on other things. So these are some great tips, great things on how you can become the person that you want to be and get to where you want to go. Okay? Have the right mental attitude. Nothing can stop a man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude. Thomas Jefferson. Think about that for a minute. There ain't nothing on earth that can help you succeed if you've got a horrible attitude, a horrible mindset, if you're not thinking the right way. But yet nothing can stop you if you've got the right attitude from achieving your goal. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Winston Churchill. Think about the right attitude. You can have all the knowledge. If you take letters in the alphabet, right? A equals 1, B equals 2, and you do an alphabet code, and you add up all the words of knowledge. You can know everything there is to know about success, and you add up the word knowledge, okay? It still doesn't equal 100% for succeeding. Okay? You can add up skills or talent and add up those words, and it still doesn't give you what you need. You add up the word attitude. Attitude is 100%. The letter code gives you 100 chance of success. There's no coincidence for that. Your attitude is going to affect your altitude. How high up in this business do you want to go? Do you want to go to 10,000 a month? 30,000 a month, 50,000 a month. See, what if you have the attitude right now of only a 400 a month person? Well, guess what? That's probably what you're going to get, and you'll never get past that. So changing the attitude first is how you succeed into this business. You guys, my time is up for tonight, but I appreciate everything that you guys are out there doing. The leaders that are hosting events on a monthly basis, that are doing trainings on a local basis, that are plugging in, they're getting their teams registered. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Your effort doesn't go unnoticed. But I want to share with you and believe in you that I know you can do this. I know you can succeed in this. I know who you can become because I was that boy years ago. I didn't believe in myself, but I had other leaders believing in me until I believed in myself. And I believe in you. Believe in you. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself for some of you. Your chances of success are guaranteed if you develop and harness the right attitude. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for watching this. You guys, I love and respect you for everything that you're doing. And this recording is now over.